Government agents, scientists, soldiers, master criminals, secret formulas, monsters, and midgets. None of them belong in this swamp. Only one thing does. The Swamp Thing.
Uh-huh. Here comes trouble.
The Swamp Thing.
There goes the neighborhood.
Adrienne Barbeau and The Swamp Thing, an outrageous pair in the incredible adventure that grows on you or all over you. The Adventures of the Swamp Thing. The comic book legend lives.
You blow it! You blow it! You blow it! You blow it!
Welcome to You Blew It. This is the show where we watch turd sandwiches in HD so you don't have to, reliving our childhoods one Blu-ray disc at a time. I am Roden, and sitting across the room from me is Thunder. How's it going, bud?
Oh, it's going pretty good. And in fact, this is actually one movie that I did see in my childhood.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
But snippets of it. I don't think I had ever seen the whole thing.
So
Because it kind of, as a kid and as an adult, it kind of bored me a little bit.
Yeah. So as a
Starts off strong.
As a kid, I didn't know this movie existed until it was on Q13
Yep.
as afternoon movie.
Sure.
And I recorded it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had it on VHS.
You put it on VHS.
And it may have been one of those things where I had to set a timer for it, but I was like, it's one of those things where you see a commercial like, what? Wait a minute, they made a Swamp Thing movie? When did they make this? and you know, it was made in 1981.
1981, yeah.
And so I probably saw it when I was 11 or 12, so like 15.
I'd say that's probably
grade.
around the same time I saw it, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit younger.
Yeah, so I recorded it, but
yeah.
to speak to what you were saying is you don't remember watching the whole thing because it was rather boring.
Yeah.
I think it came down to at one point I needed a video cassette, and I was like, I need to record something. I don't have a spare video cassette. What do I have here I'm willing to record over?
Yeah. Swamp Thing was it.
I was like, and I remember thinking, that's pretty good, but whatever I was recording, I wanted to record.
Yeah.
Was more interested in.
Directed by Wes Craven.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, and I wouldn't have known anything about that at that age, but...
I don't think I would have either. Was Wes Craven the director of Nightmare on Elm Street?
I believe so. I think that's his big thing. And then
yeah.
And then did he go on to do the Scream movies? Is that Wes Craven?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Yes.
I believe so.
Yeah, and this one, I mean, it's kind of labeled as a horror movie, but it is not.
No.
It would be, I think this is more like one of those action fantasy genres.
Yeah.
You know? Like it's not horror at all because the main character, Swamp Thing, is kind of a good guy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess...
he is a good guy.
There's some other monsters and creatures towards the end of it. But that's the only...
Yeah,
that's the only time
it's just
you
for
get
the final battle.
Yeah, so
that's it.
Yeah, it's just one of those comic book movies that aren't. It's not really a superhero, but kind of a superhero.
And I would say a less popular comic book.
Absolutely,
too, right?
Yeah,
like was Swamp Thing ever a really popular comic book?
Yes, it was, but I think it was more of an adult comic.
Really,
it was more cerebral. So I told you that I got the trade paperback, and
okay,
I think it's Alan Moore, whoever did Watchmen.
Okay,
he was writing Swamp Thing, and that's I think when it really got some notoriety. But it was very like not adult in the sense of the content, but kind of where it's just like meaning of life and really trying to dig deep into psyche of human, that sort of stuff. And it was very noirish. I will say that the guy who drew, especially that version of the Alan Moore series or whatever, had this like really detailed sketchiness to it. Like
Yeah.
the way it was inked and stuff, and so it really stands out, the kind of the art that's involved.
Yeah.
So I have the trade paperback. I should let you borrow it. It's not bad.
I'd love to check that out.
Yeah.
I'm very curious.
It's not bad, but it didn't really grab me.
Yeah.
I think at the time it was pretty revolutionary, but I don't remember as a kid liking it.
The only thing that I remember about Swamp Thing when I was a kid was seeing snippets of this movie, but I also distinctly remember the cartoon. There was a cartoon that came out in 1990 or 91. We looked it up, and it was.
I thought you were kind of full of shit. I thought you were mixing it up with the Toxic Avenger cartoon,
right. That it was probably around the same time.
But you were right, and I was like, damn.
It only ran for one season, and I think it made it into the rotation of the Saturday morning cartoons. I'm pretty sure, but those. There were so many cartoons that were based on like more adult movies that just seems like looking back on that, it's like, how the fuck was this?
Yes.
How did this become a thing? RoboCop had a cartoon.
Rambo had a cartoon.
And
even Toxic Avenger.
Which is like extremely fucked up.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
what
crazy.
the fuck were people thinking? I don't understand.
They just had these IPs
that
they tried to pivot and do reinvent them a little bit and make them for kids. Yeah. Weird.
But it seems strange to me that like they wouldn't be worried about, okay, well, maybe kids are going to go to the original source material to find out like more about the character.
Yeah.
Like, especially in the Toxic Avengers case.
Of course.
But this movie is rated PG.
Although we watched an unrated version.
We watched the unrated version, which has some tetes in it.
Yeah,
side boob.
Which again, I recorded off of KCPQ 13, so I had no idea there was a. So the version we watched, is it just came out a little bit ago, but MVD did a special edition in 4K.
4K.
And it includes the Blu-ray and the 4K. And
we watched the 4K disc.
We did.
Yep.
And it has two versions. One's unrated and one's the regular version. We watched the unrated one, which had some side boobage.
It came out in Europe. That was the version that was released in Europe with the side boob. And the American version, theatrical version here in the States, that scene was taken out because the lead actor Adrienne Barbeau,
who's pretty legendary for these types of genre movies back in the day.
Great actor.
Yeah,
I love her.
Me too.
She was in The Fog.
She's in
she's been
Tales
in
from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
She's been in a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
Instantly recognizable.
No, sorry. Creep Show. She's in Creep Show.
Creep Show. Yes.
Sorry. Mix that up.
Easily mixed up, by the way.
Yeah, right. They're both kind of the same anthology based on the comic book.
But she's very recognizable. Yeah. You'll know her if you see her. But she, in her contract, like, they weren't supposed to show any of her being nude.
Yeah, she didn't have
any of the movie.
Nudity in her
and they just fucking released it in Europe.
Yeah. Well, I love
nudity.
So we were watching an interview that was on here with her.
Yeah.
She looks great, by the way.
Yeah.
Looks great. And she was just saying, I love that she was like, yeah, I did. I guess I didn't realize there was a version where you could see my titties in it.
Yeah.
And then she was like, and I found out later that they put it out in Europe and they were in there, but
and it wasn't in my contract.
Like, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like, because I think she was kind of known for being like, like showing her boobs off.
Was she?
I think so. I think she was in these genre movies where it was like, the way in the interview, she was just like, yeah, whatever. She was like, that never bothered me, is what she said.
Well, she had some amazing boobs.
She did. And I do remember when I had this recorded, when she's running around in these tops that she's in. Yeah. As a 11, 12-year-old, I was like, whoa. Terrible. I hate it when we go here on this podcast, but you can't help to.
You can't help it.
Because a lot of these movies
we're reliving our
watch,
childhoods.
Yes.
We're going to act like some prepubescent boys.
We're going to go back to the mindset that we had when we watched these originally. And also, tons of these movies have that kind of crap in them, so you can't just ignore it. So
yeah, that's true.
The Blu-ray, by the way, has like a really cool slipcover that looks like a CED. It's like they mixed it with like a laser disc and CED disc.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Now, what is a CED again?
CED was the one that was like in a caddy, but it was on vinyl.
Oh yeah, so it looked like a giant floppy disk.
Yeah, it looked like a giant floppy disk. If you pulled it out, it looked like a
vinyl record.
A vinyl record with really fine lines. Like it was capacitance electronic disc, is I think what CED stood for. I never had one, but I had some.
I had a friend in college that had one, and he had a copy of Star Wars on it.
I have a copy.
And it was like 4 discs or 3 discs.
It would have been
or
Return of the
like
Jedi.
That.
Star Wars is just 1 disc.
Oh, Star Wars was
I'm
one?
pretty sure Star Wars is 1. I think Return of the Jedi is 2 discs. I think it's the only one that's 2 discs.
Yeah, I mean, it just blew me away because I don't remember seeing that because, I mean, they were not very popular.
No, it was RCA who made them, and they went out fairly quickly. They had the same clarity as a VHS cassette tape.
Yeah.
But the volatility of a record player.
Yeah.
So they would skip, and they would get worn out after you played them. So not a great technology, kind of fun. But I had Saturday Night Fever. I gave it to John because he was making a wall of like laser discs, and he put that up there.
Yeah.
And Saturday Night Fever, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Star Wars, and I picked them all up like just at like garage sales or at thrift stores.
Of course.
They're really cool looking.
They are very cool looking.
They're hefty,
I mean,
too.
It's like a cartridge that fits a record in it.
Yeah. It's wild, man.
And it's totally wild.
Yeah.
Like how does that even fucking work?
Barely.
I don't understand. Yeah,
barely is the answer.
Which is why they are not around anymore.
And talk about, I don't think you can get the cartridges because they had needles. So you have to replace the needle in them.
Yeah.
Like a record player. But they weren't.
But they weren't a record needle.
Yeah. So I don't think you can.
It's got some sort of optical thing in it.
Yeah. It's like it measures the distance between the surface.
To make an image. That seems like such a roundabout way to just get to video.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. They were desperate back then, man.
Wow.
Storing analog video was a tough deal back then.
It's incredible, dude.
So that all out of the way.
Yes.
The movie has a slower pace. Let's put it that way.
It does. Yeah.
Kind of a
it's
meandering,
very
pace.
of its time.
Yeah.
Like I do a lot of the movies that we watch from, like, not the big budget ones like your Predator or, your Rambo or something like that, but the ones that kind of came out on the periphery of everything that had, slimmer budgets. Like, there is a pacing issue. And I don't know, I mean, if I would have watched the whole movie, would I have felt different, back whenever I saw this for the first time? I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
Because, more movies were like that back then, of this genre.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a slower pace.
Yeah, I mean, and the story's pretty simple.
Yes.
I mean,
very much so.
It
felt like it could have been wrapped up a little bit sooner.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're really stretching this taffy.
Yeah.
Really stretching this taffy.
Yeah.
And with that interview with Adrienne Barbeau, she talks about how
she hated the movie when she saw it.
She hated the movie when it came out, and then she talked about while they were making it, the budget was being cut.
Yeah.
And so Wes was like doing things to,
and you can kind of tell.
Oh, you can totally tell,
because they start out. They must have started with the first scenes. Don't you think? Like the scene at the camp and stuff like that. They must have started filming with all that stuff, because you could tell that's where a lion's share of the budget went.
Yeah, and I'll give them credit. They really did look like they went and shot this in a swamp or some sort of
in like South Carolina.
Yeah,
they were in South Carolina at like a state park or something like that, where people would pay to come in. And it wasn't apparently it wasn't like, you know, they weren't in the backwoods of a bayou or anything like that. It's a park that's manicured and everything like that.
Yeah, well, and
but it's still gross as fuck.
It is gross as fuck, and it's apparent in one scene where I go like, "There's cars going by in the background,
that's true.
In the trees. You can barely see them.
You can see a road in the background.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's a lot of scenes where like everybody has to get into the water at some point.
Yeah.
Right.
Like wading up to their waist or up to their knees,
and it feels so gross. Like
totally.
That would have been such a shitty movie to be on.
Yeah.
Because not only is it hot, not only is it muggy, not only are there like, you know, mosquitoes the size of crows that are attacking you at any given moment, but then you have to go and like wade into this just murky
and not even that, like
water.
Like some of the guys were being thrown in there or dumped underwater and
held underwater at some point.
Yeah,
like
she was talking about how they had to put like kind of swabs of stuff in their ears to make sure that they didn't get any
bacterial infections.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, dude.
All for Swamp Thing. What are we
Swamp
doing?
Thing.
What are we doing, people?
No shit. No shit.
Yeah,
she also said there was a ton of cocaine on set.
That's what she did say that. They had plenty of the people on set had some powdered motivation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the plot is very simple. Research scientist doing stuff out in the swamps. You kind of don't know at first, but it's you realize it's for the government. Adrienne Barbeau,
she's an agent of some sort.
Yeah,
that's
she works
going
for
to
the
like
government.
work at this base that's in like an abandoned church.
Yeah, they set that up. And her name's Cable.
Agent Cable.
Agent Cable. So, and you know, it's alluded to that there's some other evil guy out there looking for this.
Arcane is the bad guy.
This same stuff that he's researching, and you come to find out that it's a volatile sort of glowing juice that he creates.
Yes.
And wherever you throw it on the ground, it'll explode, and then
it'll start growing.
Yeah.
And whatever. And it gets murky too. Like how they explain it later on in the movie, how he becomes Swamp Thing, because obviously the researcher, the lead researcher, what's his name again?
What was his name?
Mac?
No.
Smack?
No. God damn it.
Alec
Holland.
Alec Holland.
Yeah.
So Alec Holland, he's the lead scientist. He creates this stuff, and then like at one point his sister, who's working with him, spills some on the ground or something like that on the floor, and the floor is wood.
No, she shows him like, look at this thing's explosive, and she flicks it on the ground and it
explodes. But then they come back to that spot, and the dead wood on the ground has now sprouted.
The floorboards or the
floorboards, trees are growing out of it. So it basically like brings things back to life or something like that.
Like, my God, we've done it.
Like,
we've done it.
Robust and strong and stuff like that. So
you're all right over there. You're also introduced very early on as some military guys wandering.
The
through
very
the
first
swamp.
scene actually
the very first scene.
the poor man's Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
Is going through
guy
the
with
swamp.
the red bandana, kind of looks
with
like
Uzis.
I thought looked like the lead guitarist for Journey.
I said, he's a younger, more vibrant, or what's the word I'm looking for?
More hair heavy,
virulent,
more hair heavy.
Yeah, vibrant, more alive. Robbie Van Zant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before he lost his hair and
just
wore a bandana over
has
everything.
a bandana adhered to his head at all.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
So they're like, oh, we found this. It's, whatever. And so the military guys arrive. They end up killing everybody, blowing up the research. The main bad guy, of course, is Arcane. This was classic. He does a total cartoon thing. It is a comic book movie.
Yeah,
You got to remember that. Where he does the total Mission Impossible mask and he peels off.
Oh yeah,
He was like the head of security the entire time, apparently.
yeah,
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
he was disguised as the head of security.
Yeah.
Some I think like Australian
dude, I think.
guy?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
But it's like does the whole
Peels his face off, which actually the cut to where he peels that off
looked really good.
actually looked.
Yeah.
They did a great job with that.
totally agree. I thought
which
the
is
same
again why I think all of the budget was spent
or in the first 20
minutes of the movie, because
Yeah.
I mean they have this whole lab set up and everything like that. Like the set is pretty well done.
And when it blows up, it's on fire. Well, no.
It
doesn't blow up.
You're
but
skipping a certain part. Like when they reveal that the Arcane, the bad guy, is actually there and has been with them for weeks because he killed the other guy weeks ago.
Yep.
Like they've got the place surrounded. They're holding like at gunpoint the Holland and his sister, and then they've knocked out Agent Cable. Right?
Yeah. And we should mention that, of course, Cable and
Cable and Holland,
and Alec
just like instantly make out when they find out that the serum works.
Yeah. There's an attraction. Yeah, there's an attraction there.
Yeah,
and
they've known each other for conservatively 1 hour,
maybe. Yeah, but love.
Love finds a way.
It's instant.
Love finds a way.
Yeah, and automatically, love at first sight, sort of thing.
That's true. Yeah.
So
these two are so fucking horny for each other. It's
they are
insane.
The dude that plays Alec, by the way, you've seen him in a ton of shit.
Oh yeah.
And I think
who is that actor, by the way? I forgot to look up his name.
I forget his name, but he is known for being in David Lynch. What is it? The TV show.
Oh yeah, he was the dad in Twin Peaks.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep. So they end up and Alec Holland is working with his sister as an assistant.
Yes.
And she gets shot and killed.
Right.
And I think Alec is the one that uses the.
Well,
does he knock the shit over? Or does he throw it?
He takes the serum. He's trying to escape with the serum because he doesn't want Arcane to get this stuff and use it for nefarious, reasons, right?
Yeah.
And so he tries to escape. He tries to run. They push him down, like gets into a fight, right? And they push him down, and the serum like spreads all over him. But it's so volatile, right? It starts to explode.
Yeah.
He full on is engulfed in fire.
And this is one of those stunts that's a really impressive.
Yes.
Like
very much so.
There is a real guy out there somewhere who is
like it's not just his back that's on fire.
No.
It's the face. It's the front.
His entire body.
His entire body is in flames, and he runs out of this, of the lab. Subsequently, runs out of the decrepit church, and then falls into the swamp.
Yeah,
and then there's a series of explosions.
And it really was the guy. Like he jumps in the water to put this fire out.
Yeah,
like the stunt guy who did it. It's really impressive. But as you put it, in the first 15 minutes of the movie, another really cool looking.
By now, budget is gone.
Gone. And I would say like they didn't have much for the suit either.
No,
because the suit
is either like an oversized wetsuit that just has a bunch of shit glued to it. Or
and not enough shit.
Not enough shit. Yeah, it's way too minimal.
Yeah, it's like
they should have
basically green
covered
rubber.
this dude in like vines and like leaves and shit. But it's either that or it's latex. What do you think?
Yeah,
what do you think they used?
Something like that rubber.
It's got to be latex because
something. Yeah.
In the interview with Adrian, She mentioned that whenever the guy who actually played Swamp Thing would like do a stunt or something like
It would
that,
tear. That's right.
It would tear.
You're right. It probably was
so it
latex.
must be latex,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
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 Okay. Which makes more sense because there's just creases every time like he moves his body.
It's so ill-fitting.
It's so ill-fitting, and there's no. It creases and it crumples up and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and it just looks
Not
pretty
good.
bad.
Not good.
in most scenes.
The face looks okay when they did.
Yes.
They did close-ups of him like doing dialogue, and you knew
Right.
they're like, okay, it's a dialogue day. We got to really make it
it's
look
1981.
good. Yeah.
It's a lower budget film. We understand that.
Yeah.
It looks good for that.
Yeah. Okay,
But the
so
suit
he
itself
he
looks
falls
terrible.
into the water. They think he's dead. They think they've killed everyone. Cable in the melee and things happening, she's able to kind of sneak away.
Right, and she sneaks away with one of the books,
The journals that this guy's keeping.
the scientific journal that that Holland was keeping. There's 7 journals total, and then the bad guys Arcane's group makes away with 6 of them.
And they don't know that there's 7, obviously.
Right.
They just grab all the journals that they have,
Yeah.
burn the place down, make sure all the bodies are...
Yep, dump all the bodies,
get rid of them.
Yeah,
And while they're getting rid of the bodies, Swamp Thing makes his first appearance.
does he?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh yeah, that's right, because he flips over the boat or something like that.
And at some point, the last 2 security dudes are like, "Let's just get out of here. Just get
Right.
This thing's
Right.
like killing everybody, and we,
Everybody ends up in the water so much in this movie.
gross,
like everybody has yeast infections while they were making this.
they've got fucking brain amoebas that are
Yeah.
eating them from the inside out.
They've got RFK brain worms.
Exactly. So now the rest of the movie is basically Cable
Running away.
running away,
Getting
and,
caught.
a lot.
Yep.
You finally get back to the bad guy's mansion, and he's like, "Shit, there must be another book because this one just ends."
The bad guy's mansion, by the way, is like, 20 minutes away.
It
He is so close.
well
at all
maybe,
times.
Maybe
he is so close.
Maybe once
to where all this shit is going down.
Well, maybe he got like an Airbnb down there.
Oh, maybe.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so he was
Yeah.
like, I
He
gotta
just,
get
like rented a
closer to
mansion.
this. Let me rent an Airbnb down here by what they're doing, and then I need to create a mask of this Australian dude. So when I kill him, I can put it on and totally fool everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Could you imagine? Who's your coworker, Daryl?
Yeah.
Could you imagine coming in one day and someone had killed Daryl and made a mask of him,
Yeah.
put it on, and then continued to go to work, and no one was suspicious at all? Like
For
you
like
would,
weeks.
You would go and talk to him face to face, a foot, 2 feet away, looking right into his eyes,
Yeah.
and you'd just be like, "Oh, this seems like Daryl to me."
Yeah, looks normal.
There's no fucking way.
Actually, it happens all the time, dude. Happens all the time. America is a wasteland. This kind of shit is going on left and right.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yep.
So he goes back there. He goes, "Hey,
And they want to use our bathrooms too.
Right. Right. Should I mark this to edit this out later?
no, not at all. Come on.
So he's like, "We got to go find you. Get me the other journal." Well, she knows where she hid it. She hid it when she escaped. She knew she didn't want it on her, so she hid it kind of in the laboratory when it was smoldering.
Right.
So she comes back to get it, and she finds
After she meets up with a kid by the name of
Oh, yeah, I
Jude,
forgot about
right?
that.
She kind of escapes. The first time she escapes, she gets away from everything. And I can't remember how she does that. Oh no, because they take her, they find her, right?
Yeah, they do find her.
After she hides the journal,
Yeah.
they find her, and then they take her on a boat to go, and then out to the middle of like what seems like a large pond.
Yeah.
And they get her into the water, and then they drown her.
Fuck. Why did I forget this part?
Right?
Yeah,
they
he
literally
just
hold her
head
underwater
until she drowns.
until
Yeah,
she stops
shit.
moving, and then Swamp Thing shows up promptly and flips that boat over too.
and this is where he starts killing all the guys.
Is this where he starts killing the guys?
I'm pretty certain of it.
He only kills like one dude.
He's
They show him only killing one dude.
yeah, but look, that's true. And it's happening on the screen behind us right now.
Yeah.
So, but it boils down to the last two guys, and they're the ones that go like, "Let's get out of here." After he's like,
oh,
'cause remember,
yeah, that's right.
He accidentally shoots one of his own guys and all this stuff.
Yeah,
but Swamp Thing ends up bringing her back to life, right?
No. I think she
wasn't drowned.
She wasn't totally like
Drowned.
She wasn't fully drowned.
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
I think she just kind of comes back up.
That's right, because we don't see him.
She starts coughing and stuff. She's kind of unconscious.
We don't see him bring back someone to life until the later on in the movie. That's right. Okay.
Right.
So he attacks all these guys. They leave, whatever, and then so she goes to try to get out of here. She goes to this like little gas station.
Yeah.
And
There's a telephone booth there. Outside.
It's not working. She goes inside. Do you have a phone that works?
There's this kid named Jude that's sitting outside that works at the gas station.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, go ahead.
Guys, like, how old do you think the kid is?
He looked like he was probably around like 12, 13 years old.
That's what I thought.
Like yeah.
Maybe 13 or 14.
Yeah.
So and he's comic relief.
Yes.
He's comic relief, and he does a good job.
Yeah.
I like Jude. So she calls what she thinks is her agency, whatever she's working for, which ends up being the bad guy yet again. He's got it like some.
Well, I think so. She calls to get in touch with her like superior or like next available superior,
right?
And then that operator calls. She's guy
corrupt.
Calls Arcane
and says,
thinking that he is Ritter. Remember?
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't think she knew that that Ritter was dead because she was unconscious when he was.
That's right. She was
like revealing his like evil maniacal plans.
So she says, "Hey, I'm at this gas station. Come grab me."
Right.
And so the bad guy.
So he's in a limo, driving home.
Driving through the swamp with a Bronco that has his thugs in it.
Yeah. And so they turn around promptly, go over to the gas station, then chase her again. Now, do they catch her at that point?
I don't remember.
No. No, because she's running down the dirt road. The Bronco is chasing her through the woods.
Like, run down the middle of the road. That's a smart move.
Yeah. She keeps on tripping, which is obviously like, she's not tripping over anything.
How could we forget this scene?
Yeah.
Then Swamp Thing jumps out. And the truck runs into Swamp Thing.
And just like gets annihilated.
Yeah. That's not how physics works.
No.
Even if he was strong enough to like put his arms out, he would slide. He would like be stopping the truck and it would be pushing him.
Yeah.
But they hit him and it's like
he's
hitting
not
a rock.
an immovable object.
Maybe he grew roots deep into the ground.
Well, see, I think that's what would happen in the cartoon.
Or in the cartoon, yeah.
Yeah, he would like quickly kind of grow roots and stuff like that, and just like could withstand a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Now we should, and
I wanted to bring up one point about Swamp Thing too, the character of Swamp Thing.
Sure.
They really should have got like a stronger person to fill out that suit.
Yeah.
Because you can see kind of the pectoral muscles of the guy.
He's got
underneath, the man underneath the sack.
He's got like gynomasty like you.
Yeah, man. Hey, dude, look, we know you're in your mid to late 40s, and those tetes are starting to sag. Like, do some push-ups before you come to the set.
Yeah, but then also, it's not like the suit was made to fill out somebody with pecs anyways.
No, that's true.
It's just...
But, I mean, they just should have got, like, a more built person.
They should have got a more built person, and then to also used to
Maybe-
cast the actual
Yes.
outfit for as
Yeah.
well.
Did that kind of stuff probably didn't happen that much back then either.
Full
For like
a full suit like that?
Yeah.
Probably not. No.
Yeah.
It's like
that technology hadn't really hit yet.
no.
With special effects artists, I don't think.
And I don't know what order this all goes in, but at some point she makes it back there with Jude to the place that's burnt down to get the book, the journal, and they find
Swamp Thing has
is
gone
there.
back there to try to do some more experiments or something.
Yeah, he's like searching, and
Yeah.
you find he's like trying to pour something into a beaker, and his
hands are too big, so they break the
they're
beakers.
breaking the beaker. And
He's
all
too
this shit.
strong.
So he just yells and he does that a lot in this, where he just kind of stands somewhere
Right.
and goes.
Right.
You said at one point, it's like, did he just yell Mortal Kombat?
It did
Jury's
sound
out.
like somebody yelled Mortal Kombat
Jury's
at some
out.
point.
Maybe could have.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, ahead of their time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really, what it comes down to is them trying to get away from Arcane and his goons.
Yes. And also trying to get away from Swamp Thing because they're afraid of Swamp Thing.
No, but I say like that's true. Like they're all trying to get away, and Swamp Thing's trying to help defend them.
Yes.
But then they eventually get captured
Right.
all together. They throw a net on Swamp Thing.
Well, that's way late in the movie.
I
Like
don't know.
we still got to talk about like at some point like Jude is taking Agent Cable out on a boat ride for some reason, right? Or don't they go to some sort of like, they don't show it in the movie, but they say that they're like, Jude says that he's going to take Agent Cable to like a trapper's cabin.
Yeah, some
or
cabin
something
or
like that.
something.
So she can get a change of clothes and blah, blah, blah. And it's not good to be out in the swamp at night. So, and then they're at, they're on this boat. They're just like tootling around or some shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is I don't know the actual chronological order of this stuff, but there's a lot of them on the boat, them going places,
Yes.
them almost getting caught, Swamp Thing helping them out. There's a lot of that sort of stuff going on. At some point, I think I know where you're going with this. At some point,
Jude gets killed
yeah, Jude gets killed.
by the bad dudes.
He's left on the boat. She's like, "I'll be back." I forget what she was doing there.
Right, yeah. What was she doing? I
don't
can't
know.
remember.
And he ends up getting the bad guys kill him. They've just flat out killed this kid.
Yeah.
And
I
this-
couldn't believe it. I was like, whoa,
I
they
didn't
killed
believe it
the
either.
fucking kid.
Yeah.
They killed the kid.
I would say this. I guess we don't know for sure if he was dead per se.
I think he was dead, dude.
I think he was too.
Because he had blood all over his face, right?
Yeah. But he could have been unconscious, and then either way you slice it, he uses his swamp force and brings him back
Yes.
to life, or heals him enough to where he wakes up.
Right.
Now, at this point, your daughter was here watching this with us.
Yeah.
She made a good point.
My youngest daughter.
Your youngest
Tegan.
daughter. And I love watching old movies like this with kids because the special effects are not good.
No.
And
not at
we're
all.
used to them because we watched them as kids. And so we have like sort of.
Yeah.
But the second he uses that magic power, his hand kind of glows green.
It glows green.
And she's like, did someone just draw over the top of his hand there? and I was like,
I didn't
yeah,
hear her
pretty-
say that. Yeah.
pretty much. That's pretty much how they did it back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, not fooled in the least. She like, yeah, it's like a composite shot where they had just like, probably like rotoscoped some sort of glowing green over his hand.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the weirdest thing is going back to movies like this, or movies that were done better, of course.
Yeah.
And realizing that at the time that it came out, it looked so real.
Yeah.
Right? Like you looked past a lot of the flaws.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing to think that like your brain did that for you.
Yeah.
Back then. But it's also, I mean, you're also not watching it in HD. either.
No. And but
At that
what I
point.
do find though is like a lot of the practical effects, a lot of the masks and things like that Kids typically don't shit on that all that much usually.
I don't know. I can't say.
Well, I mean, because it's still like it could still be really creepy looking, and
yes.
it is a real thing. You can tell it's a real thing.
Right.
Done well, it usually is like pretty freaky, you know. But like his suit in this, it was a kid. When I was a kid, I was bored with the movie, and the way the suit was ill-fitting. Even as a kid, I was like, "What?"
You know what it reminds me of?
The guy's not muscular.
You know what it reminds me of? Captain America. Albert
Payne's Captain America. Yeah, where that shit's like folding up and loose and
totally.
And forgot to mention, he's got total Michael Keaton in the Batman outfit for Batman 1989, where he can't turn his neck. So whenever this guy turns around, he has to swing his whole body around without moving his neck.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly why they did that, but I have a theory. I think it's because the way that the comics were drawn at the time, his neck was really thick.
He just the
neck went all the way down to the shoulders. Like from the ears, it sloped down to the shoulders.
Yeah,
you know,
they try to do that in here. It doesn't work out.
It doesn't work out all that great. Yeah.
They need a guy with like wider, broader shoulders.
Yes. The dude they
just
added this suit is just kind of a tall, frumpy dude,
like a schlub.
A schlub.
Yeah.
Yes. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So
descriptor.
Now I think it's safe to say we can skip to where they get captured.
Well, she gets captured first and gets like brought onto his rich man's boat.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's because the bad guy Arcane tells his thugs like, look, whenever she's in danger, he's there. So we need to get her. We need to get her. He'll show up and we'll get him.
Smart guy.
Yeah. Oh, he's a genius.
Real genius.
Real genius. Yeah, I mean,
so she escapes off the boat. Then she finally figures out that like Swamp Thing like saves her again from the dude in the bandana, poor man's Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah,
and then that guy is like carrying a machete, and he chops off his arm.
Yeah, because that's when she jumps. This is such a mess. Because there's so many things of her trying to get away and not getting away. And it's like, That's when she jumps off the boat.
It's a series of escapes.
That's where she jumps off the boat into the muddy ass water, swims to shore, starts running.
Does a real shitty dive off that boat too.
Belly flops right.
Just belly flops, dude. That's terrible.
And then
terrible dive.
And then Neil Sean from Journey jumps in with a machete and chases her, swims after her.
Right.
And that's
and this is the first actual kill scene that we get too.
That's true.
Because Swamp Thing grabs his head. After he gets his arm chopped off, he grabs this dude's head and just like
crushes it.
You don't actually see that.
No. You just you see him like holding the guy's head.
And there's blood coming out of his mouth.
Blood comes out of his mouth, and then you see his body fall on the ground or whatever.
But then he speaks. He says the first lines that as Swamp Thing that he can say, and convinces Cable that he is actually Professor or Dr. Holland. Yeah. And then they kind of have a love scene, not like making love, but where she's like napping on him or something like that. Yeah. And he like hands her an orchid. And then there's like kind of a little bit of a montage
Jude
of
go
her.
At this point?
Her like, Jude has disappeared.
Yeah.
After he's been cured of death, he kind of disappears for a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Good
then
thing,
she's like bathing. She's bathing nude.
Yep.
In this fucking dirty ass swamp.
Well, and at this point,
and Creeper Swamp Thing's just like
watching,
just watching her from the sideline, which I probably would have done as well.
Gross, dude.
Well, she knew, she was fine with it.
Well, they have this.
She knows he's standing right there.
They have this sort of discussion, like early in the movie. She's like, "The swamp's gross. I can't stand it," and he says something as the scientist, like. You know, it's
beautiful.
It's a beautiful, clean ecosystem or some bullshit like that, right? Like,
right.
And then later on, when she's no longer being chased, and like you said, she's sleeping on his chest, and they're like kind of lounging. She's like, "It's so peaceful here." You're right. it is beautiful. Like, it's serene and beautiful and all that. And then she's just like, I'm going to take a buck naked bath.
I'm going to take a buck naked bath. I'm going to get some sort of UTI.
Yeah, amoebas crawling into every orifice of my body. My body.
Oh, my God.
And let's just hope Jude isn't around beating off around one of the goddamn lowland trees.
He gets a lot of... There's a lot of points where Jude gets a hug.
Yeah.
Right? And his head is about chest height.
Yeah.
And he is just pressed up against those bangers.
And I don't know, what am I saying here? Good for Jude if he is behind a tree whacking it. Good
of course.
for you, Jude.
Yeah. Way to
That's
go.
like she comes into your swamp.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm going to get totally buck naked.
This is your swamp.
Yeah. And she's just like, I feel so open that I could just let my titties out here. And then, and assuming she's fully naked there. So, kind of on her.
Yeah,
expect privacy out in the fucking swamp.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, swamp.
Plus, there's army dudes, like mercenary army dudes
running around
all over the place.
Fuck, Jesus.
She's just taking her sweet ass time, just like I'm gonna, titties is out.
And Swamp Things he's right there watching. At one point.
He keeps on holding his journal too, like up to his face, almost like he's smelling it. Did you notice that?
No.
He just like maybe there's some cocaine on the pages or something like that.
Now, I don't know when it was exactly. Your daughter also pointed out that Swamp Thing kind of looks like Michael Jackson. And
his nose.
I know this is horrible to say, but we all know Michael had a very distinct nose after years and years and years of plastic surgery.
Yes.
And this Swamp Thing's nose very much looks like Michael Jackson's nose.
Yes.
And then she said, and Cable kind of has Michael Jackson's hair, which she has a very, very tight curly perm going on in this whole movie.
Yeah.
And she even says in the interview when we were watching, she was like, I hated my hair. I hated my makeup. I hated the wardrobe.
Yeah.
She's like, I hated everything about this movie.
Yeah.
And when I saw it in the theater, she was like, I didn't want to send people
Well, because apparently just an absolute ton of shit got cut out. Cut out and changed.
Yeah, the plot is clearly simplified.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said, it's just a series of chases.
Yep.
It's like, bad guys trying to get her. Nope, they don't get her. Bad guys trying to get her. Swamp Thing saves her. Bad guys trying to get her. Swamp Thing saves her again.
Yeah.
And then finally, they capture Swamp Thing after this sort of shit.
Right. When did the boat chase happen?
I don't know.
We skipped over that one too.
No.
Didn't we?
I mean, it's no skipping. It's just
it is skipping. We skipped over.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is like
in the timeline.
Yeah, I don't know where any of this falls.
Before he gets caught.
Of course, but I don't know where any of this falls. Like it's like yes, you're right. I'm trying to get past this because it's all kind of uninteresting. It's the same kind of thing over and over again.
It is, yeah.
That scene is horrendous, by the way. Other than the fan boats that are running around.
There's 4 boats that are like running around with fucking MG40s like attached to the
one
bows.
of them.
And they're just like little tiny Boston whaler boats.
Yeah.
Right? And then they're throwing grenades. They're fucking shooting him up and everything like that.
It's such a horribly edited thing. This was so
it's
clear that the budget was bad at this point because they're just shots of them shooting at Swamp Thing and then just throwing grenades, and then the shot of Swamp Thing is like him up on an island with reeds everywhere, and him like flying and trying to avoid these explosions that are happening behind him. They're always happening behind him.
Yeah. But then he finally gets into a boat and fucking takes them all out, right? But he doesn't really, because all he ever really does is just throw people into the water.
Correct. It's fucking dumb.
Which is boring. Like he should be ripping.
I'm not openly yawning here. That's
yeah. He should be like ripping people's limbs off. Like he's supposed to be super duper strong, right?
Budget for that.
He should be smashing heads, fucking ripping people's arms out of their sockets.
They shoot him several times. The bullets don't really do anything.
Yeah. They just go through him, and then he heals, and he crushes that one dude's skull. But that's literally the only like.
Throws a lot of guys.
He just throws people into the water.
Mostly into the water, yeah.
They're not getting hurt that way, dude. Sorry.
No. So he's one-armed at some point after that dude lops him off.
Right. Yeah.
And when he gets captured, they capture him in a net.
Yeah.
He doesn't have. He's missing his arm.
Yeah. They take both Agent Cable and Swamp Thing as hostages.
Now Jude is gone at this point. He's just gone.
Yeah. Jude hasn't shown back up yet, right?
Not shown back.
Okay.
This is a funny kind of thing too. When he's captured in the net, she says something to the effect like, "You knew they were going to capture us," and he says something like
sometimes the
only way out is to
go through or something.
Okay.
All right,
sure, Swampy.
Really?
So they end up in his the doctor's mansion.
Yep.
He's in a dungeon. And
Arcane's mansion, and there's a fucking party going on. He's throwing a party.
Yeah.
Big old party.
Apparently a bunch of people in other Airbnbs down there are like, we're evil too. We're evil too. Let's go to Arcane. And Arcane makes the announcement, "Hey everyone, I got the serum."
Yeah. And he's literally got Agent Cable tied to a chair. She's in an evening dress.
Yeah, an evening gown that they credited who made the gown at the end of the movie.
In the credits, yeah.
Like I love that guy. He's like, "We need a gown. She needs to be tied up in a dungeon and on a chair."
Yeah. And it's really got to show off her chest.
Okay, let's go to a designer and have him design this fucking dress.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Okay, make sure you put my name at the end of the movie."
Yeah, I want to credit.
Would anybody ever be like, "Oh, what a cool dress"? All the scenes are it's just wild to me. Like some of the at no point if that designer went and saw this movie, he'd be like, "Fuck, what'd they do to my dress?
Take my name off."
Like, oh my God.
Take me out of the credits, please.
Fuck.
So she's tied to a chair. Everybody's
one cares.
clapping for him. Now so he's got, now that the guy with the bandana is dead, the henchman with the bandana is dead. Poor man's Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
The next one up is Bruno. Bruno's just kind of this oaf.
Yeah, oafish.
Yep.
Tubby.
He looks like Alex Jones.
Kind of like Alex Jones, or even Curly from the Three Stooges, and
acts like Alex Jones too. Just a complete dimwit.
At this point, when he's at the dinner table, he's wearing a turtleneck.
Yeah.
And your daughter then makes the point, like, he's not. She's like, he doesn't. She mentioned something about his build. Because the turtleneck's very tight.
He doesn't look strong.
Yeah, she said he doesn't look strong.
Where are his muscles?
Where are his muscles? And you said in the 80s.
In the 80s, strong men just look like fat guys.
It's true. This was such a common right hand thuggish
Do you
bad
remember
guy.
Commando?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The bad guy in Commando wearing a fishnet tank.
Sort of like chainmail, but not.
Just
fat.
Just fat.
Just not. Say it. I'm fat right now, so I can say
yes.
Fat.
Me too.
But yeah, Bruno's and through the course of the movie, they slip in little things where Bruno's kind of got a heart of gold. Like when his sister died, one of the guys was like, "Oh, I got this,
This must have been the sister's
amulet,
locket, silver locket or something like that.
And so he's like, "Oh, let me see that," or whatever. And then when the guy leaves, he sets it like around
where she died,
where this tree was growing. He hooks it on the tree. So you're like, "Oh, Bruno's kind of got a heart,"
right?
Which are playing that up for later, because at the dinner table, Arcane's like, "I couldn't have done this without the help of my good buddy Bruno here,"
right?
And then Bruno's like, "Hey, boss, when are we going to see what this stuff can do?" And he's like, "Well, Bruno, you're going to show us what it's doing." So he spiked his drink with this potion.
Right.
Bruno
with
unknowingly, the serum. Bruno unknowingly drank it, and now he starts fucking tripping out, dude.
Yeah.
He's like,
and
his face starts to fucking schleff off.
Yeah. And then he disappears under the table, pops back up, and he's a tiny little, what would you call that? Little person
mixed with a goat.
Yeah, maybe goat.
And he's
a goat boy.
He's a goat boy. He hops up on the table and he's like, and then like all the people are like horrified.
Fuck this.
Fuck
And
this.
they're like, everybody takes off. Yeah.
Yeah. And does he say something to the effect of like, look what you've done to me? Or I can't remember.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And you pointed out, you made a very good point.
Because his turtleneck and his pants seem to shrink as well.
It's just a total...
And now are even like better fitting.
Yeah. Never thought of that when I was a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. How did the clothes shrink?
Yeah. The serum,
That's
I guess.
very strange.
Like
very strange.
Every piece of matter attached. I don't
guess. Yeah, that didn't make any sense. But then they take Bruno down to the dungeon where Swamp Thing is tied to an X-shaped like thing.
Yeah, well, it's
I've only
it's not
seen
a crucifix, but like a
but I've only seen those as like in a sex dungeon.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. Yeah, you're kind of right. It was one of those sex dungeon things that you really have only ever seen in like movies when they're
like, hey, let's do some bondage.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
So he's tied to that, and then they tie up. They leave Bruno like untied up.
Yeah,
but then they tie up Agent Cable to some chains.
I think at this point they just say like Bruno's harmless now. He's just a little goat thing.
Yeah,
and he starts grilling Swamp Thing, which
about why didn't it work for Bruno? Why did it do this for you?
You have these incredible strength. Why didn't it do the same? In fact, it shrunk him. It did the opposite.
Because it takes the essence of who you actually are,
and this is what
and magnifies it.
So poor Bruno's a half-wit.
Yeah.
And it just shrunk him down to match his brain.
He's meek. He's actually meek.
Yeah.
Right?
And so it was like, oh, it makes total sense. And so the bad guy goes upstairs, and then he even says to Alex Holland or whatever, so if you're a genius, it will heighten, it'll expand upon that or something to that effect, right?
But he keeps on calling himself a genius, but
he's
all
trying
he
to
is
steal
just somebody
everyone's
who
stuff.
steals somebody else's thing.
That's what's crazy. Like you've done nothing to show that you're a genius in any sense. But of course that's the thing, right? Because he's a egomaniac and sociopath. So
exactly.
So he gets upstairs, says fuck it, and he drinks it.
Yeah, and it takes him a really long time to change. Like it took Bruno a minute?
Yeah,
to change into
a minute.
Boy? Not even that.
Yeah, like 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
45 seconds.
But it seems like it seems like it's taking Arcane like hours.
Yeah, he's like staring at the sunset outside.
Yeah. He's quoting some bullshit out on his veranda.
He takes a seat. He has one of his beautiful, gorgeous assistants.
Yes.
One
of the assistants, by the way, has been in another movie that we've seen.
Yeah.
And I can't remember which one.
I know. She's really attractive.
Yes.
So he's like, bring me some brandy. So she goes to hand him the brandy. She's like, oh, she's like totally disgusted by his hands. They start peeling and sloughing off.
Yeah.
Your daughter said his fingers looked like some sort of toes that a guy had on the teriyaki joint earlier today that you guys were at. Which, you gotta love kids.
That's very astute.
I know, you gotta love
very
kids
astute observation.
who notice some shit like that. Like, because I remember being a kid and just being someplace and
just being grossed out by
an
some
adult like who's got flip flops on. You look down at their feet, and you go, "What the fuck?
How does that person walk?"
Yeah. So you had no clue. You were like,
I had no
what?
clue. I had no idea.
You're like,
I
what?
had no idea.
Oh, okay, whatever. But so then he starts changing. He's like gets in a cocoon, which looks awful.
Looks terrible.
Looks like paper
I thought
mache.
he was literally turning into a turd.
He does look like he's turning into a turd.
Yeah.
Which then he starts breaking out of.
Right.
And then it looks like paper mache that is like
it's kind of sloughing off.
Yeah.
And then so that is to reveal that he has turned into some sort of like boar, werewolf or something.
Yeah, and he's wearing also a bodysuit. That's kind of has
that looks like it's got dragon scales on it.
Yeah, like dragon scales or like armadillo sort of like on the lower half of his body,
Right,
and then when it gets
right.
to his head, it's all like furry, like a boar's head.
Right.
And the eyes, I mean,
Oh my God, dude!
they're
They
just
really should
yellow
have
painted
rethought
eyes
this.
that don't move. They're just
Yep.
they're just not.
It looks awful.
It looks terrible.
It actually looks like it's like somebody was trying to do like an elementary school student was making their own version of one of the creatures from the Mos Eisley space.
It really does.
Like scene in the original Star Wars movie, like because it looks very
mask.
similar.
Just a mask.
Yeah.
Doesn't move.
Nope. The mouth is always open.
Open. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very poorly done.
So while he's changing,
Yeah.
and this is something that's introduced. I don't know. At any point of the movie, did we
I don't
realize
think
this?
so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
But down in the dungeon, it's becoming day again. And this is also one of the biggest Achilles heels of this movie, is they decide to shoot a lot of this shit during the day. In the swamp. And so you could see all of the flaws of all of the fucking suits that they made.
It should have been night scenes all the time.
The only time that Swamp Thing looks passable is when it's like dark, heavily shadowed and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is like he's in broad daylight on a boat throwing a guy off, and this whole ill-fitting suit is just like crinkled up and looking dumb on this thing.
Yeah.
Like, so
I think that would have helped. It would have helped kind of like the more like horror aspect
yeah, for sure.
too. Is
Yeah.
just like if everything was dark and he was creeping around these swamps and fucking, just
It's true.
banging dudes on the head,
Yeah.
like this, it would have worked so much better.
And,
But-
and as this plays in the background too, something we should not leave out is the amount of wipes and swipes, and the transitions that
the
they
transitions
use.
from scene to scene are just bonkers.
They got one that's like ooze pouring down the screen, or like
Right.
swamp slime pouring
Yeah.
down the screen to swipe it to the next scene.
Yeah. And then it goes up too.
And then it goes up, and then the same pattern.
Yeah.
I think he probably did that stuff because it's like, this is a comic book movie, so we need to
Right.
add something
Yeah.
that to make it cartoonish.
That's
or-
kind of that's
like-
that's what I thought as well.
yeah, stupid. Looks dumb.
Yeah.
Looks real dumb. In fact, probably would have helped the movie out to not have that. It just really isn't.
Yeah.
It takes you out of it. You kind of chuckle every time you see it.
It does. Yeah. Yep.
So we realize while he's in the dungeon that daylight is coming, and so through one of the windows is a shaft of light.
Right.
And Cable's like, reach for the light.
Reach for the light.
The light helps you.
The light recharges you, or
Like,
something like that.
when did we establish this, bitch?
Yeah.
Like,
When did this
what?
come in?
Like,
and
he's
how do
the
you
doctor.
know? How do you fucking know?
Yeah, he's the doctor. He should know. And
Yeah.
I love that he's like, no, it's useless. He's kind of like, brr, brr. Tries to reach for it. He's like, oh, I can't reach for it. I was like, oh boy, here we go. So then he finally, like, the sun moves and it touches just the tip. It gingerly touches the tip. And then his little nub starts growing a little boop. Like
yeah,
a little,
remember his arm was chopped
off.
Yeah.
And his nub starts growing, a little vine comes out of it. And as the sun comes and hits more of his body, it's growing. It's like a little raptor arm that comes out. It's got like it finally grows like a whole new arm, and the light gives him strength. And so he rips off his chains and rips off her chains just in time as the
Wolfman Jack is now
Wolfman
coming
Jack
downstairs.
comes running down, who grabs
a sword.
a decorative sword off the wall.
Yes.
Something that you'd get at the cutlery shop at the goddamn mall.
Yep.
You know, that had the armor, the suit of armor outside. Something that several of my friends in college had on a wall.
Yes.
Like, hey, I just saw Braveheart. I should buy a replica sword and put it on my wall while I'm playing fucking video games. That would be cool. Guess what? Arcane thought the same thing back in 81. He's got that up on the wall. And now that he's a goddamn Borg Wolfman Jack creature, he's like, hey, look at that sword. It's going to come in handy. He just grabs it off the wall and goes down to the
You
dungeon.
never know when you're gonna need a sword, man. A broadsword.
I mean, he's a monster with superhuman strength at this point, but
Yeah.
hell, fuck, I might need the sword.
Right.
So he goes down, and now
Bruno has helped them escape.
Yeah, he's like, here, come with me. I'll show you the way out.
Down to this like weird like well or
he's like, jump in here.
Area.
Trust me, you can swim out to the main swamp through this well.
Right.
Okay.
And so they pop up in the swamp. The swamp is now the swamp that they come up to is like covered in fog machine fog.
Yep.
And they threw
Dry
in a
ice
bunch
and
of
God
dry
knows what,
ice into this
bubbling shit.
swamp, and it's just like
but during the
bubbling up
day,
and stuff like that.
But still during the day,
bright daytime.
And we cannot forget the hilarity that ensues with halfling Bruno, who, as the creature's running with the sword, he trips him, like just kind of balls up in front of him and lets him trip over him, and he says, "What are the 3 lines?"
He says, "Have a nice fall.
Have a nice fall. Have a good trip.
Did you have a good trip?
Did you have a good trip?"
So dumb.
So it's 3 of these like falling jokes.
I hate those one-liners so much.
And he's saying it while he's running up these stairs, and the creature's all mad, like trying to swing at him.
At this point, you're just like, okay, this is now a kid's movie.
It's a total kid's movie.
This is now a kid's movie.
What? We're just watching another version of this, and there's more boobs.
I don't think we
didn't watch the uncut version.
We didn't watch the uncut version. We just stumbled across like a full-on...
It's playing right now.
Titty scene.
It's an extended titty scene. What is happening?
Wow.
What is happening?
Wow. Like they are lingering a lot on that.
How did she not know?
So wait a minute. We watched the straight up theatrical version. This always like throws me for a loop. This movie is PG. So we watched the theatrical version, and that version had boobs in it.
Yeah, it had
side boob. You could see nipple.
Yeah.
In that version, the PG version of the movie, you could see nipple.
Apparently so.
Now with the unrated version, they are
lingering.
They're going back. They're going back for another.
Was he creep watching her there?
I think he was just thinking about his book, which he's now going to throw into the woods.
Oh,
yeah.
He walked off like he was sexually frustrated.
That might be it.
Yeah, it could be
knows?
True. Wow.
Holy smokes.
Well, better for it because your daughter was in here.
Yes.
And so when the boobs came on, she was like gross, and it was just like a side shot.
She's seen boobs in movies.
I know, you were like, it's your anatomy.
Yeah.
You said to her. But it's not. It wasn't sexual. She's just
no. She's
like bathing herself, right? So, but this version lingered on her boobs. And what's funny about that interview, she's like, "Yeah, I didn't know they were going to do that." What are you talking about?
You filmed a scene where your boobs were straight up out of the water,
3 feet away from a camera setup. You're looking into the camera.
How did you not know they were videotaping that?
Oh my God!
Were you really taking a bath?
Wow, that's it.
That's
so
incredible.
What the hell was going on with the 4K version then? I swear.
Well, I think so. I didn't understand what I was clicking on.
Yeah.
What it was. Sometimes those like menus on the
you forget
movies,
what the color means. You're like,
exactly.
Does this mean I'm highlighting it? Or
okay, so that it's green means that we're watching that version, or that it's white. I couldn't figure it out.
Well, it's a good thing we
apparently
got the unrated
watched the theatrical version. Yeah.
Well, we didn't miss out on anything here. So
nope, nothing else has changed. Just a boob scene that was taken in and added out.
Yeah.
Taken out and added in.
Speaking of boobs, she takes the medieval sword right to one of her boobs.
That's right.
And
yep.
And basically dies, and it sends Swamp Thing
into a rage.
And then
that fight scene,
dumb.
Oh my God, it was so bad,
horrendous. And this is you're watching it and you're like, oh, clearly the budget was done here.
Yeah,
they're like, throw these suits on, just have them fight it out here in the water.
In the water, once again. So many bacterial infections happened on this.
So he thinks he's beaten him. Goes over, heals Cable, who's growing moss on her boob now.
Yeah. No, he puts the moss there.
Did he put it there?
Yeah.
I thought he just was like his magical powers, like woo. woo, and then start
No,
growing.
he put the moss
Got
there
it.
for some reason. I don't understand why.
Yeah.
If you can just heal her, yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. And now there's this extended scene here.
Oh my God! There's more.
There's more
nudity
boobs.
at the party
At the party?
mansion.
There's like strippers at the party.
Wow!
And this one of the mercenaries is like making out with a chick and feeling her up.
Wow!
What the
this
fuck is
incredible.
happening?
And she's the dancer's now taken off her.
She's just stripping
This
in the
is,
middle
I
of the
think
living room.
this is the first time I've ever watched an unrated version of a movie where they added in a bunch of nudity.
Yeah.
Like,
Because
I'm
usually
always
the unrated thing, yeah.
I'm always disappointed with like the unrated or the uncut or unrated version. It's like, oh no, there's still no nudity in it.
Yeah.
It's
That
just
is
longer.
nuts. That is nuts.
That's crazy.
This is a comic book movie based on a DC character.
yeah.
Wow. Wow.
With children's jokes in it.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God, dude.
Wow.
Holy shit. Wow. Okay.
We're seeing something we ain't never seen before.
Never seen before, kid.
Jesus Christ.
This is incredible.
So of course,
Let's start this show over.
yeah, let's cut.
This movie was fucking awesome.
This movie's great. So he ends up healing her, but then of course she comes to and she's behind you, and so the monster's back.
Yeah.
And now he really puts the beating on, and
Yep. He pulls a big like a tree stump out or some
just
sort of
beats him. Yeah, it's like a stalagmite that's growing
stick
up
or
from the
something
swamp.
like that from the swamp.
Yeah,
and
he
then
breaks
just
it off,
beats the
beats
shit
him
out
up.
of him. Takes the sword and then slices him.
And earlier in the movie, they set up something where when they're going through the jungle, the doctor says at some point, or the swamp, he says, you watch out for the quicksand. And me and you
Yes.
just laughed because we're like, fuck, quicksand. Of course, it's an 80s movie.
Of course.
And then we're like, when are we going to see the quicksand? And
never
then, like,
see quicksand.
never see quicksand. Slices this thing open and all this stuff oozes out. Kind of looks like gravy or something. And your daughter again says, like, there's your quicksand. It did look kind of like
It
quicksand
did
bubbling
look
up. From,
a little bit like quicksand. Yes.
It's like very brown and tan.
Yep. That's right.
And then Jude's back.
Jude comes back. Yep.
And just at the very end, so as he's like walking off into the swamp, she's like, where are you going? Let's do this. Let's finish your research. And he goes, with these. And he shows his hands.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'll be your hands. And he's like, no, I belong.
I will
out.
be with you
Yeah.
forever, like in your heart or whatever, like,
Yeah.
something like
He's
that.
like, I belong
Very
out
sentimental.
here, but I'll be with you forever. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, your fucking spores are in her now.
Yeah. And he says something akin to like, I'll see you soon.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
then
and
I
then Jude comes around the corner.
And then I said, as he walked away, I'm full of black mold. Bye.
yeah, right. And then Jude comes around the corner and he's like, will we ever see him again? And I can't remember what
Yeah,
her
I don't know
answer
what
to
she
that
says either.
is. But
And then end of
and then
movie.
we freeze frame. Freeze frame
Yeah,
on
the titles roll.
Swamp Thing walking back into the swamp.
Yeah.
And
Now-
that is the end of the movie.
Now, as you know, and I think our audience knows, there is a sequel. It's called The Return of Swamp Thing. I do have it on Blu-ray. This one's got Heather Locklear in it. And this was when she was on Melrose Place. And boy, at this point when I rented that, I want to say I was like 14, 15. And I really enjoyed that. I mean, she's hot. She was just hot, and I had such a crush on her.
Oh,
they don't
yeah.
show any boobs or anything in that one.
Yeah.
And that one's more of like a comedy.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen it?
I don't think so.
The suit looks way better, and the guy they got in it is like way more muscular.
Yeah.
And he's got like, it's just like way more detailed suit, muscular dude. He seems like what Swamp Thing should have looked like for this
Should
movie.
look like, yeah.
But the movie's pretty awful. It's just like kind of a zany comedy.
Okay. Well, should we watch it?
Well, yeah, we'll watch it at some point,
Okay.
of course.
All right, we'll
Then you had a USA Network
Yeah, and I completely forgot about this. I
ran
was looking
a live action show.
Yeah, I was looking at pictures from that, stills from that show. I was like, oh, I do remember seeing something like that at some point.
As boring and as slow as this movie.
Yeah.
Looked like it was shot probably in Vancouver, British Columbia. Nothing against you Canadians.
Yeah.
But back in the day in the 90s when I watched these TV shows shot there, it was always abundantly clear.
Right.
This and like the Highlander TV show looked awful.
Yeah.
Both of them ran on USA in the States.
Right.
Then more recently, they did one for HBO Max.
They did.
One season. It's like 6 episodes or 8 episodes. That apparently was pretty good, but they canceled it. It was too fucking expensive.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I've not watched
and that's a show?
Yeah.
It's a series? Mm-hmm. Huh.
Yeah.
It's still on there?
I don't know because you remember they purged a lot of shit off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. And I never watched it. So.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I heard it was
that must have been
pretty
DC's
decent.
kind of like when they're trying to get those like Doom Patrol.
Yeah, same. Yep.
And all that stuff going.
Yeah.
Which I heard Doom Patrol was pretty good too.
I heard
and
it was
I did
pretty good,
watch
too.
I actually watched like a couple episodes of that, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
But just kind of fell off, like I do with a lot of series nowadays.
Same.
There's too much, man. There's just too much out there.
And you better grab me. You better grab me.
Yes, and like something new will come up when you're halfway through one series, and if you're not
really into it,
really into it, your attention changes, and you just go off to something else.
Yeah.
And that's how I've been with most of the shows that are coming out now.
And
it's
again,
crazy.
Much like this movie's a fine example. I recorded over the VHS.
Nothing changes.
No.
Yep. Time is a flat circle.
All of this being said, I kind of enjoyed it. I still kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's an enjoyable movie. I mean, it's an 80s, it's kind of a consummate, early 80s action,
competently made.
Yep.
Clear that
Action
the budget
romp.
was cut at some point, and it's like it's uneven in that way.
Right.
Where some of the scenes look better, some of the makeup looks better than other scenes and that sort of thing. So it's very uneven movie.
Yeah.
But very watchable.
Yes.
And when we were looking at that extra material, they said that like Ebert gave it a pretty good review back in the day. Wes Craven is a competent director.
Not just
we all know
Ebert, Siskel and Ebert.
Was it both of them that gave it good reviews?
Yeah.
I could see why, especially in 1981.
Right.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
I'd give it like
Yeah, it is a little bit boring.
It's boring.
It moves kind of slow
Yeah.
and stuff, but it is for, if you like cheesy movies like we do, I would definitely recommend it. And definitely make sure you're watching the unrated version.
absolutely. If you're preverts like us, make sure you watch the
You want to
unrated.
see some nudes.
Yeah.
You want to see some boobs.
Wow.
Make sure you're actually clicked on the unrated version, okay?
Wow.
Yeah.
How many Blu Its?
Ooh, I'm going to give it 3.
That's what I was going to say.
3 Blu Its.
It seems like 2.5 is just
It's 2.5 is too low.
yeah. But 3
3.5 is too high.
3 is perfect.
I think it's a an average,
Yeah.
80s movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
3 Blu Its.
3
There you
Blu
go.
Its.
You got any dialogue?
Oh fuck, I don't know. Not really.
Could you recite one of the stupid fucking lines that Arcane constantly is
Oh my god,
coming out
no! Like it's like
with? The quotes from like famous geniuses of the past and
Nietzsche
philosophers
or something. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know half of this shit. I don't know what. There's fucking nothing really,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
you're gonna have to find something. You put it in.
have a nice trip.
Oh, there you go. Cut, print.
To the keystone of our success, to our conquest of the world, to Bruno.
Bruno.